when we're talking about mindfulness, it's not the same necessarily as meditation. The way I see it is that meditation is intended to bring us into that calm, sort of focused space. We can focus on a thought. We can focus on clearing our mind, finding peace and calm. Mindfulness has the direct intention of being focused in the present moment. So I like the phrase, it's an intentional focus, right? An intentional attention to the present moment, right? So paying attention to the here and now. When we're trying to access the here and now, the way we go about doing that is through our senses. So you can think about, imagine a life where you didn't have any hearing, any sight, any touch, any taste, or any smell. You wouldn't be able to access the world. You couldn't experience anything, really. And that would be a lack of an ability to focus on the present moment. But as long as we have a sense or a couple of senses, we can bring ourselves back into the reality that is right here, right now, right? So this is real, right? That physically is real. This moment right here, right now exists. Now that that has already passed, it has become past. And whether or not it'll happen again in the future is indeterminable. But right here, right now, that exists, right? That's sound, that's feeling, that's sight. All these things are involved. It's touch, right? So when we're doing these mindfulness exercises, I'll oftentimes reference back to noticing your senses, take a deep breath, doing these kind of things. And that's how we're going to combine this first exercise. We're going to do something called a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 mindfulness exercise, which is just counting through your senses, noticing things about your senses. And as you're doing that, you're breathing along the way, right? So this is a really great exercise for just centering yourself into the moment, noticing that if you're stressed out about something that's going on throughout your day, or you're starting to get a little bit down or a little bit depressed, you can bring yourself into the moment using this quick little exercise. What's great about mindfulness and what's great about this 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 exercise, you don't have to have any kind of equipment. You don't have to sit in a certain position. You don't have to do anything like that. You can literally be having a panic attack at your desk, with other people around you, and you can do this exercise to bring yourself back to a baseline, to bring yourself back to a calmer space. So that's why I really like recommending this exercise, is it's one that you can reset yourself a little bit. So in the next video, we're going to do an in-depth version where we're going through each spot individually, imagining certain things happening, noticing certain things, going through each of the senses, doing our breathing along the way. And as we're doing each of those, looking for certain thought processes and those kinds of things, okay? A second video to follow that one will be a more brief version where we're just kind of checking in with each of the senses in a more brief, quick kind of way. So the first one is sort of your practice. The second one is sort of that quick get into the moment kind of thing. As usual with all these mindfulness exercises, there's not a lot of rules to it, but there are a couple things that I advise people about. Number one is when you're practicing these exercises, don't do it in an unpleasant situation, right? So we don't practice when things are chaotic, we practice when things are chill, and that way we can get the skill built up so that when things are chaotic, we're more effective at being able to use it. So the joke I tell my clients is, don't practice this exercise in front of the kitchen garbage can, because you're going to say, this smells like garbage, this tastes like garbage, right? Don't do that. Instead, find some part of your day where you can find a little bit of quiet, a little bit of peace, where things aren't too stressful, and use it then. I usually tell people to do this exercise during your morning routine. So a morning cup of coffee, morning breakfast, brushing your teeth in the morning, anything like that, because this gives you the opportunity to fully experience your senses, right? You can include taste, you can include smell, you can include touch. And it really gives you that way of kind of starting your day in that more clarity of mind kind of place, right? There's been some research studies that have suggested that we have improved mental clarity after an exercise like this, where you'll do a pre-math test and a post-math test. And if you do this exercise in between, if you're part of the test group, the scores on those tests are better for a period of time afterward. So good way to start your morning, good way to start your day, get your mind prepped for this kind of a mindful awareness of the present moment. The second rule, I guess you could call it a rule or thing to be aware of, is that when you're doing a mindfulness exercise, it's different than some of the other exercises that people get caught up in. I think when people start doing meditation, they get caught up in this idea of they need to find calm, they need to find peace, they need to clear their minds. That's just not the case, right? With mindfulness, there are no interruptions and there are no distractions. Not because they don't exist, but because it's inherently part of the exercise that they don't exist. So let me explain that. If you're truly invested in the here and now, right here, right now in this moment, anything that introduces itself into this moment is just part of the moment, right? If we're trying to breathe and we're focusing on our sense of hearing and someone comes in and knocks on the door, that's another noise. I can hear the door being knocked. I can feel my hand as it turns the knob to open the door. I can see the person who's come to ask a question or something, right? It's just part of the moment. So don't put an expectation on this exercise to be something of finding peace, finding calm, finding serenity, whatever it might be, okay? Don't put expectations on it. Just look and to see what presents itself to you in the moment. That's all we're doing, is just paying attention to the present moment, okay? So those are kind of the two main things, right? So when you're doing this exercise, throughout your day, just notice that, that this is just new things that introduce themselves into your moment. They may be shocking at times, but just notice it. Just pay attention to it and be aware of the effect it may have on you. So let's do this exercise again. We'll do the in-depth one first, and then we'll dive in and do a little bit quicker one. That way you can have these as reference. So if you enjoy these, like, subscribe, and then also favorite those particular videos, because you can go back and reference them in the future. You can add them to your own playlist. You can look through my playlist of all the mindfulness exercises, all that kind of stuff. But if it's something that you'd like to refer back to, as time goes on, feel free to do so. So thank you so much, and let's get started.